Jen here, and I have a layout for you for the Wild Whisper design team. I am so excited to have this collection. This is a collection that was designed for Wild Whisper by Jen, one of my amazingly talented friends. She just kind of hit the nail on the head with this collection. It's called Home is Where the Wi-Fi Is, and it's just filled with all of these really fun ideas and concepts for the things that we've been doing since we've been stuck at home. So you're going to see lots of different images like the plants. I've been collecting succulents like crazy since we've been home. You can see the desk with the computer on there. There's things like, different cooking and stuff like that. Yeah, just really fun. I love this one paper that's going to be coming up in a second, kind of talking about our fashion while we've been stuck at home. So it's like, haute couture on top because we're all Zoom work ready, but we're all wearing our pajama bottoms on the bottom, we know. So just really fun pages like that, and a lot of them are just set for you to go, so you can take that page, throw a picture onto it, maybe add a few extra little embellishments, and you're good to go. But also there's a couple of pages like the one I just was showing you here that I've cut this card out of. I love cut apart sheets. I think Jen knows I love cut apart sheets because I've told her this before. I just really love when designers have elements in their papers that you can cut out, because it means that you have instant embellishments that go with the papers. And if you run out of embellishments, or if you're just looking for, the same images in a bunch of different sizes, like I've done here with my coffee cups, it's just really fun to be able to fussy cut some of those things directly from the paper. So definitely check out this collection. Of course, the links are down below, and my discount code will be down there too if you want 10% off. But yeah, it's such a fun collection, and that like retro color scheme, I just love that. It's very different, and it all came together so well. You can see here how I'm not really hesitating a lot. I didn't necessarily have a plan until I started pulling through the papers and kind of deciding where I wanted to take this layout. But once I knew I was going to go with coffee, it just all pulled together so quickly. So I've got the 12 by 12 paper with the big coffee cup on it. And then you saw me cut one of those little cards out of one of the sheets. It said something about cleaning the house, and I laughed because my house is never clean with 4 kids now and a dog and a cat. So I figured I could probably sacrifice that card just to be able to map my little photos onto some red, and that way they really pop. And then I also cut 2 other elements that have coffee cups on them. So before I get started putting everything together, I decided I wanted some coffee cup stains or rings on the paper. So I had my McDonald's coffee right beside me, and yes, it does still have coffee in it, but that's okay. I went ahead and used it anyways. I just took some brown watercolors, put it onto the packaging that these papers came in, dipped the bottom of my coffee cup into it, and set it onto the paper. And I kind of set it on there, let one of them sit, just twisted and moved it around a little bit, picked it up, put it down, somewhere else, and kind of did that a few times for each ring. So it really looks like the color was pooling and it wasn't a perfect stamp, if that makes sense. And then I also dipped my brush in there just to add a little bit of splatter and just some movement to those rings. And I just think that that's kind of an extra fun element that is in there. And it just kind of made the paper, if that makes sense. It adds to the story, I guess you could say. So then while those were drying, I decided to go ahead and do a little bit of hand stitching. I haven't done this in a while, so it was kind of fun to pull out the embroidery thread and just go ahead and do it. And so I took my needle and I just kind of traced out a few little, I guess you could call them like little steam swirls coming out of the top of the cup. And then I went into my Wild Whisper sequins and I found a couple of mixes that had some clear ones in different sizes. So you can see me kind of stringing a few little sequins on there. Not too much. I didn't want it to be all sequins. I definitely kind of wanted that more wispy feel to it. I also split my embroidery floss in half. So there's 3 strands instead of 6, and that just made it a little bit less thick so that, again, it's not the thing that kind of draws all of your attention. It's just sort of that wispy feel of steam. But you could definitely do it with all of the strands, or you could split it even smaller and go with only 2 or whatever you wanted to do there. So once I got that all stitched, I'm going to go ahead and just use my craft knife to cut out the center of this cup, because I kind of want to give the cup a little bit more personality as well. And I'm going to add a sleeve to it. So I just have this Starbucks sleeve, and I'm going to use the other side of it so it kind of matches the colors. I'm not adding any new colors into the layout or anything like that. So I just opened it up, and I like the corrugated side anyways. I think that it just adds a ton of texture. So I kind of measured and stuck that down there, and then I'll go ahead and stick this oval back over top of it. When it's done, you won't even be able to see that there is a bit of an open hole in the back there. And then instead of leaving that circle just kind of plain, I actually really love that Jen didn't put any kind of graphics or picture or anything in that space, because it meant that I could go ahead and put whatever I wanted in there. And I did go through a ton of stamps trying to decide what I wanted to do, but I decided on just writing "so good" because coffee is so good early in the mornings when you are on vacation up in the mountains, and you sneak away to a little cafe. We were actually at the Stone's Throw Cafe in Blairmore, which is up in Crow's Nest Pass, and it's just, I love that part of being away on vacation, is getting to just sit and enjoy some good breakfast and a hot cup of coffee. So I pulled out the license plate stamp set from Road Trip, and I just used those letters to go ahead and stamp the words "so good." And then I'm going to use both the tape runner and some of my quick dry glue to really make sure that this is adhered to that corrugated cardboard really, really well. So I hold my hand down there for a while too, just to make sure that it really sticks. And then I'll go ahead and put down my picture and the mat that I have with it. And that little serviette container that I have a picture of there, it has today's to-do list. So I thought it was really cute. So it says 1, get up, 2, make coffee, 3, drink coffee, 4, make more coffee, which is kind of, that's my to-do list most days. So I thought that that was really cute. And then I have just a selfie of myself with my coffee that morning. So I popped that up with some foam. I'm just using foam hearts right now, which work really good to add some dimension. So that's what you saw behind there, just to help me kind of pop up the photo. And I've put down my little title, which is "You're Quite Beautiful." And from that, I actually cut that apart so that I could cut out the coffee cup that was right above it. And then I cut out that third little coffee cup as well. So I've got the 3 different sizes, and I'm going to go ahead and give both of those a little sleeve as well. So I did exactly the same thing. I just cut out the oval and then gave them a little part of the sleeve. And then on the medium-sized one, I'm putting a sequin just to kind of give it a little bit of interest in that little round oval part. And then on this teeny tiny one, I'll add a clear sequins to it. So it just means that it's not sitting there plain. It just adds something a little bit kind of fun and interesting, and brings some sequins up to that cluster. And I'm going to use some foam squares behind this little guy to kind of pop him up even higher than what the foam hearts are doing for my pictures. And then that way it kind of adds just that extra little bit of dimension. That's actually why I really like those packages of the foam shapes. If you can get them with adhesive on the back, that works really good too. But just buying, those big packs from Dollar Tree and Dollarama, they're a little bit thinner than what you get from foam, like dimensional foam that's meant to pop things up. And so it gives you the ability to just add a lot of different layers and a lot of different levels of dimensions. So I think it's kind of fun to play around with all of that. And sometimes I go for the big sheets, and sometimes I just grab the shapes. They don't always, I usually get it from Dollar Tree, and they don't always just have the big packages of rectangles. So sometimes I grab big shapes. I've had, what have you guys seen me with? Hearts, and I had an animal. I can't remember what kind of animal it was. Maybe an elephant, something like that. But these little hearts that come out at Valentine's, they work really good too. So before I put my coffee cup down, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of that embroidery floss. I just felt like I needed to bring the white into the layout in a few other places, because up where the steam is kind of the only place that you saw it. And so it was really bringing your eye to that location, especially because there are some sequins there and there's a little bit of kind of movement. It naturally draws your eye that way. And so to kind of combat that, I'm going to put the embroidery floss behind that coffee cup, and then also just tuck a little bit in right there. And that really kind of brings a little bit of movement to the circle coffee rings as well. So movement is definitely, when you talk about that, as far as your layout goes, what you're doing is you're kind of creating this idea that everything isn't perfect and lined up and really square. So you can use things like embroidery floss, twine, elements like that our eye just kind of looks at and is attracted to, because it's not just sitting very static. Hopefully that makes sense, the way that I explained that. But I get that question a lot when I say that something brings movement to a layout. It's those little breaks in your layout that don't quite look like everything else. So bringing in round elements if everything else is kind of square or rectangle and has sharp edges. Bringing in something that's a little bit more messy, like the twine. Repeating elements in threes in a sort of triangle around whatever it is that you're trying to highlight. So your photo or your journaling or something like that. What else? Oh, adding maybe some vertical elements if everything in your layout is kind of going horizontal. Using a contrasting color around your photo or an element that you really want to pop. Just all of those little things that we do to make our eye follow around the layout the way that we want the eye to, so that we tell the story the way that we've designed it. And that's it. So that is my layout. I just added a little bit of journaling there, and I am all done. Thank you so much, Jen, for the amazing collection. I am so excited to keep using it. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Remember, the link is down below, and my discount code is DTGen to get 10% off your next purchase. If you have any questions, you can leave them for me in the comments. And until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.